Okay, well, I made a video a while back on YouTube showcasing this vintage TIE fighter, and I didn't really show too much on how it was modified, but I thought I'd go ahead and re-explain it a little bit better and see if I can fill in some of the gaps and answer a few questions about it. I bought this TIE fighter back in 1978, and here's the original box for it. So it is vintage. So the box is a little worn by now, but it's okay. It still will hold the toy itself. The original toy had a single LED on it and a simple buzzer, and when you push the button on the back, it just made a buzzing noise and the light would just come on as long as you held the button down, and it ran on two AA's. Now it actually does make a different sound here, as you can see, and it warbles quite a bit. And the lights alternate. It's got three lights now instead of one, and it has a 7-second timer built into it. My dad did the modifications on this. He's an electronics engineer. He's been doing this for quite a few decades. He worked on this in, I'd say sometime in 1979, and I might have bought this in 1979 also. It was either 78 or 79, so it was late 1970s. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can take this apart here. It runs on a 9-volt battery now instead of two AA's. So I'll see if I can take the bottom out and see if I can explain a little bit as to what he put into it. Alright, well, here's the TIE fighter. It's been taken apart. What used to be a 9-volt in there, it appears to be, because in fact it wouldn't really fit in there very well anymore into the battery case. It still runs on approximately 9 volts, but they're scattered over what look like AAA batteries or something equivalent. So if you do build something like this, it would probably take approximately 9 volts, but you can experiment with this. This, as you can see, is the main brain of it here. Let me zoom in a little bit on it. As you can see, there's some resistors there. A couple of smaller transistors, capacitors. Hold on here, I'll see if I can get some exact values. Well, I'm not exactly having too good of luck here. I'm not very good at this electronic stuff myself. I see a 20 volt yellow, if I find it here. The guy there says 20 volts. I know it's hard to read. Yeah, well, okay, look, a lot of this electronics my dad put in 1979. So that was over 30 years ago. The only thing that I know of that he might have updated some of these components this toy with all these modifications in it was in a, basically stored for, it's over 25 years. It's been sitting idle. Had batteries replaced in it, and then my dad went through and replaced a couple of components that had died in it, or wore out, and he added a 7-second timer, which I'm not exactly even sure where that's at. There's not much else to it. Most of it that's right here, and then you see there's a speaker off to one side here. And that's kind of it. I mean, there's some wiring and stuff, and then it runs to the batteries, which are right there. They're all kind of scattered in there, but it did used to run on just a standard 9 volt. Even like this, it should still run. I have to put this back together ever so carefully. Find the... There we go. See if I can just go ahead and... There we go. That's kind of what my dad did to this TIE fighter. I'm going to see if I can try to put this back together again, and I'll showcase a little bit more of it and wrap up some thoughts on it. Well, before I completely put this back together again, if you can see that little tiny circuit board on the side here, this is on the side of the TIE fighter. As you can look at it from the front here, the front and the bottom. So this would be on the Look at the left side. Inside the part that goes out of the solar panel, there's another little circuit board. I believe this is the timer circuit that was put in here. As you can see, it's kind of small. This is sort of an afterthought. This was added in about 2 years ago, and my dad asked me if I wanted to put a timer on there, an automatic timer, so when you push the button, you could just set it down and watch it for a little bit instead of having to hold the button down and where the lights would warble. These 3 LEDs here. I'm going to go ahead and put this back together again. Well, I'm going to wrap this up here. I got this pretty much back together again. It only has 6 screws out of the original 8 or so holding it in place. The buttons don't even work. Everything's been screwed down, so it doesn't eject the panels anymore like it used to. But I get figure for the trade-off, having this neat little array of lights here, it's still pretty cool. I gotta admit, it's pretty durable, all considering the fact that it still works even though I've been taking it apart and slowly putting it back together again, and I didn't sever any of the connections or any of the batteries or anything else. So I figure if anybody has any questions about actual specs on this thing, I suppose I could bug my dad some more, but he never really wrote up any blueprints on what this made. This is just a little pet project of his. A after note, back in 1979, I had the vintage X-Wing also that went along with this. My dad had taken it apart and was going to add in a few more lights into it. I think it was basically going to put lights on the end of the laser tips on the wings, and it was an unfinished project. So the pieces sort of got scattered to the winds, and then he got me a new X-Wing the next year, so it never happened. This is the only modified toy that he did for me back when I was a kid. Okay, well, thanks for checking this out. I hope this answered a few more questions, and I just hope I don't get as much negative feedback on this video as I did on the last one I did with this TIE Fighter. Well, thanks for checking this out.